week at South Portland High School. Today's guest speakers are Helen Cohen from Reach My Teach and Nneile from Nkholise. Helen Cohen is a former educator in history and ESL within the Portland area. Together with a computer science teacher and a former student, she co-founded Reach My Teach to address communication barriers in their community. Now serving as the CEO of Reach My Teach, Helen focuses on enhancing cross-platform and multilingual communication. She continues to keep one foot in the teaching world by teaching adult English language acquisition classes during the week. Beyond her professional endeavors, she indulges in story-driven video games, reading, and of course, a profound appreciation for coffee. Nicole is a Millennium Leadership Fellow and Chief Executive of Solid Incorporated. Nkholise studied as a master's in mechanical engineering at Central University of Technology and graduated with a bachelor's degree in science and physics from the University of Witwatersrand. Nicole is a product engineer with a specific focus on design engineering and has 8 years of experience in the construction and biomedical sectors, having developed biomedical products. She previously founded a biotech company called iMedTech in 2015. In 2021, she co-founded Nneile, a global agricultural procurement platform. In 2016, she was recognized as Africa's top female innovator by the World Economic Forum, which is a big deal. She was awarded the South African Youth of the Year Award in the Office of the Presidency in 2017. In 2018, she was named Forbes Africa's 30 Under 30 list and was awarded Industrialist of the Year in Southern Africa at the All Africa Business Leaders Awards.
So I just want to make a quick clarification. Do you want to? I'll just say I'm Helen Cohen, and I think South Portland uses Reach My Teach, so I'll be very curious what y'all have to say. But thanks so much for having us. And do you want to just do a quick say hello?
Yeah, hello. My name is Nneile. I said Nicole, but you can call me Nneile because my name is a tongue twister to quite a lot of people. Co-founder of Tola. We are a SaaS platform that is automating compliance for small and medium-sized businesses in the agriculture and food space. So it's going to be very interesting to talk about how the applications of computer science coding in building impactful businesses that maybe some of you here can explore at some point in your life if you want to go through the path of entrepreneurship.
And just like out of curiosity, what classes are we presenting to today? Ninth seminar, right on. And then is there another? Digital literacy, all right. Is digital literacy an elective?
Yes.
Nice. And is it all grades?
Yes.
Right on. All right, cool. So we got a good mix of folks then. I don't know, there's a Miss Nelson. Yes. How would you like to structure today's conversation? Or?
Oh, that's a great question. I wish I thought it was your class.
Okay, cool.
But it's quite, I just need to start off with our job here. We just want to find out by show of hands, how many of you want to go through the path of being software developers?
Okay. Cool. And how many people are interested in the business side of things? CEO, COO. Okay, cool. All right. And how many people are interested in the marketing side? Okay. Is there, what other jobs can you think of?
Engineering. design, graphic design,
Yeah.
and what is everyone else interested in besides all those?
Okay.
Physical therapy. Maybe a plumber. Okay, so yeah. So the good news is that in almost every profession, there's a layer of computer science that is needed, that people use to optimize their businesses. So right now, the reason why computer science has become so important in today's world is because businesses in every sector across the world have been able to apply some lessons of computer science, of softwares, to be able to optimize their work. It could be done through softwares and different applications that many of you use, or it can be optimized through different hardwares that people use. I could take a simple example is someone who wants to work in physical therapy, because I come from a sporting background. I was an awful basketball player, and a semi-average rugby player. And rugby, which is American football without the helmets, because I'm South African. And a typical example of how we used some elements of computer science was that for us to be able to determine players' performance, you need to understand that there's a lot of performance tracking devices that athletes wear to be able to get their performance. It could be their speed, their acceleration, the distance they've covered. And for us to get that data to determine the performance of athletes in a game, in different games, so that coaches can be able to optimize that data and be able to understand, is this player giving in good performance, or should we change their position, or the game formation that we are using, is it adaptable to the type of quality of players that we have? We had to build quite a number of software solutions, and even a lot of the people, the guys, physical therapists that worked with this sport had to understand so many layers of computer science. So the reason why we always emphasize on the importance of studying some computer science and coding is because in every facet of the job that you are using, and in every career you are going to experience the need to understand working with softwares, the need to understand layers of coding, and being able to use those softwares to optimize every layer of work that you do.
Yeah, and sometimes it's actually the data that ends up being your business more than, you know, what it might do for a team versus what it might do for betting, and what that information might do for what kind of turf they're putting down. And there's a whole world connected to it. So thanks for giving me some of the background too. And you don't have to wait, right? Like, I don't know how much has been shared with y'all before, but Reach My Teach was built by myself, a computer science teacher, and a student. I had him as a 9th grader. And then they built Reach My Teach when he was an 11th grader, and now he's my business partner. So if you have a good idea for building educational technology in the world you live in, like optimizing the world you live in, you can also start that right away. So, questions, or should we give more of our story?
Yeah, if there's any questions, you're welcome to ask us. There isn't a very detailed structure on how we wanted to run this, because we understood that it's going to be a collaborative class where you share some of the questions that you have, and don't be afraid to ask any question. I've had instances where some students would ask me, how much money can I make? And it's okay to ask those questions, or I want to start a business and do everything. It's okay to ask those questions.
I mean, do you want to take it?
No one is recording the IRS.
I mean, how much can you make versus how much do you make?
It depends on, it depends on how much can you make. So, thing is, it depends. So when I used to work within the engineering sector as a product engineer, it was quite more of a stable career. So at that time, it was a good six-figure career per annum. Because the thing is, when you are a product engineer working within the construction sector, some of the projects that you get to lead is building your large hospitals, large buildings such as schools, such as this. So when you are entrusted with such huge projects, you get to have quite a good reputation and you get to make a lot of money in the instance. But when I transitioned into starting my own company, the first couple of years are pretty tricky because you invest so much of your money, you bootstrap, you cash in all your investments to start your business, and at that time it can be very hard. That is why during that time you should not be driven by money, you should be driven by your love for the work that you're doing, you should be driven by the impact that you want to see in the world. So money should not be your determinant, but as the years go by, money starts trickling in, because when you start looking at some of the richest people right now in the world, all of them are entrepreneurs, of Jeff Bezos, your Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, the Nkholise brothers, John, Patrick. They are started off as startup founders, entrepreneurs that wanted to make global impact. Some of them enabling fintech that reaches a lot of people. Some using Facebook to connect people. So over the years, money starts trickling in, but in the early stages, you become broke.
Yeah, if you're going to start the business yourself, right? Just to kind of double down on that, you have to value your idea, which is a really weird thing because you won't be making money. You have to say, oh, I think it's worth this much. And then you go up to other people and you say, I think it's worth this much. And then hopefully they invest in you and they support your idea and see it at the same rate. However, you don't have to start your own business either. You can go and join a larger business and start making the money a little bit faster.
There was also another question. I saw a hand.
What was the hardest part
I think there's...
I think there are so many hard things about starting a company. The hardest thing is you might seem crazy because some of the companies that were started in the past 20 years, they seemed like crazy ideas in the beginning. I mean, if you look at the idea of Airbnb, where you get someone having to stay in your own home and they pay you, that's a crazy idea because who would allow a stranger in their own home? But you look at it right now, it's a multi-billion-dollar company. The idea of Amazon.
I mean, it started as books. Like, they were just selling books, right?
Yeah.
Amazon, and now...
Yeah, and I mean, you look at even Spotify and Netflix, because with Netflix, it was an amalgamation of video renting, where you'd go to a store, rent video, bring it back, and now suddenly you can access it on your television using internet. So it started first as crazy ideas. So during that moment when no one believes in you, that is the hardest moment because it becomes a very lonely period in your life. Sometimes you might even have your family not believing in you. I know my mom didn't believe in me because I had left in my comfortable job and started a company, and every single moment she used to give me all the job opportunities. Like, it ended up companies having to call her for me to join different companies. So every single moment she would remind me of any other company I could have worked at and how crazy I am for me to choosing to become broke for a good few years in my life.
Yeah, and I transitioned careers. So my background was teaching, and all of a sudden I'm running a whole business. And you do everything, right? You do marketing, you do the sales calls, you do the technical end. I didn't necessarily know how to code. And so figuring out how to do all of that and how to do it well is a huge challenge as well. Because it's a different career. I mean, you're like creating something totally from scratch. So it's really cool, it's really exciting too, yeah.
So like, how hard was marketing when you first started?
Marketing.
Marketing, the thing about marketing is about storytelling. So a lot of times when people think about marketing, when they start the business, they always think about, oh, social media, like I can literally get my business, put it on social media and get people to come through. And I think the most important thing about marketing is about storytelling. So when you look at even some of the most well-performing influencers on social media, they're storytellers. So if you tell a story about your business, if you tell a story about why you started your business, and telling that story over and over again, that's part of marketing, and making it as authentic as possible. That's part of marketing, versus you just going on social media and saying, buy into this. The nicest thing about your generation, I always say your generation because I'm a bit older than you. You are part of the most authentic generation, in my own opinion. You believe in authentic stories. That is why you look at mass media right now that is geared towards you, is packaged as storytelling, because people now care about your stories. People care about your life experiences. And a lot of you people are more connected to people that have life experiences that are similar to you. So protect your story and use it as part of marketing.
Yeah, so staying true to yourself is a huge, huge part of that. And then simplifying your message. Who are you? Like having that really clear. And then there's so much psychology in marketing. And there's so much data to tell you how long somebody stayed on your ad, if they clicked it, it's wild how much information you can get about people now, to the point where it can be kind of paralyzing. Like, do I push out an email to all of these people? And there's softwares that will click open for all the emails, so maybe it was effective, maybe it wasn't. And you just have to kind of do the grinding work of following up with people, and taking the time to tell your story, to stay true to yourself. And then, do you guys want to be part of our marketing right now?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Let's take a selfie. We're going to tell the story of being right here in South Portland. Yeah, we're going to flip it around, even though I hate doing that. I hate that, when the camera flips on your face. Awkward. All right, ready? Let's see how many people we can get in this. You let you in there? I'll have to do it the other side. Okay, ready? You guys can do it. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Thank you. Zoom in. But then knowing your audience is such a huge part of it, right? And you work in an agricultural space, so you actually moved from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about why you chose San Francisco is the hub of? Has anyone here seen Silicon Valley, the TV show that came out a while ago?
Yeah.
It's a little
Been to San
adult.
Francisco.
Okay, yeah. Or how many people have been to San Francisco? Okay, yeah. And when you drive in San Francisco, the billboards, maybe a billboard's for a store or something. The billboards are for software, right? It's just try this AI tool, try that AI tool. But you do agriculture, so why was Maine?
So the funny thing is that a lot of people keep asking me, because I used to work in professional sports back in South Africa, so I worked with a lot of professional athletes, and I would drive their marketing and their branding. So sometimes you'd find a professional athlete would come and say, I don't just want to be seen as just an athlete. I want to create more impact for myself beyond just being on the court or being on the field. So So sometimes we would design impact projects for them. And that was literally the part of working in the limelight back in Africa, because there's a lot of like rugby, football players. And
Shout out this year's winners. No idea. Does anyone follow rugby in here?
Yeah.
It was a big year for South African rugby. Look it up.
So the thing is, I transitioned into agriculture that has a lot, way more less hype or marketing around it. And one of the jobs that we needed to do was how can we get young people into agriculture and make it more of a hippie type of sector that people can get into. So the thing about South Africa is that if you know the country South Africa, there's a huge hype around agriculture in terms of even the fashion hype around agriculture, to an extent that every young person who reaches 25 years, they want to become a farmer because it's a hype, it's a world hype. Yeah, it's a world hype around it, so that's why I went into it. And when I came to the US, I was awesome. Can I build that hype around agriculture that we see on the African continent, that we also see in Brazil, where every young person wants to be seen as a farmer. Every young person is now transitioning into the fashion of agriculture or farming, because we have a very huge fashion scene in agriculture, to an extent that people go to gym when they look fit enough. They wear into agricultural shorts and all the boots, and it's like a hippie thing. Everyone wants to be a farmer. It's a big thing. So that's why I went into that space to say, can we put out the reputation on it and get young people into the tech space within the agriculture space and build the hype around it.
That's awesome. I didn't know that part. That's really cool. Yeah. Any other questions?
What's your favorite color?
Favorite color? Do you have I mean, you're kind of...
Well, it's green. I'm always in green.
I think blue, but just because I have to like tie it back in. When you choose, if you build a business and you choose a logo, how many of you have like messaged over Reach My Teach? Like gotten an email from it, or like, Reach My Teach, like if your parents get text messages from your teachers, or emails from your teachers, it's me. And so our logo is like this terracotta color, which is not my favorite color because it doesn't go with a lot of other colors, and it's so hard to market. It's so hard to like graphic design around it. So if you have other ideas, yeah.
Can't you change it?
I know, right? I could, but see, that's the problem with like once it's out, people recognize it. Like I spend so much time trying to get people to recognize my brand because I have an interesting thing. I've got people who will buy my product, and then I have the people who will use my product. They're not the same person, right? And so I need the people who use it to recognize it, and I need the people who buy it to recognize it. But I'm probably still small enough that I could change it. But I have this fear that now people will be like, what is this? Where did it come from? Right? And our name also limits us a little bit to education. Maybe I want to text over multiple languages in multiple sectors. Maybe a business wants to use it. Maybe the health sector wants to use it. But our name also kind of pigeonholes us a little bit. So I got to figure out, like, do I create another subsidiary of the business and play with the logo, play with the color, play with the name? Or do I kind of do an overhaul?
Change the logo.
Change the logo. All right, that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. Was that what you were going to say, too?
Nah. I was gonna say Twitter, but from a bird to an X. So like.
That's true. But everyone, have you seen when people talk about X now? They'll like put in parentheses Twitter. So it takes a second. It takes a second to make that.
You can change it. When we talk about business, we always talk about. I don't know if you know biology, like this, the hypothesis, like this, the metamorphosis of a worm changing, a caterpillar changing a butterfly.
Yeah.
So sometimes you think like change may not be that important, but you may need to change. Sometimes your business may transition so many times that who you are today may be who you may not be tomorrow. You may be a different person than what you are today. Because when we started, our colors were literally blue and yellow, which is blue is the worst color to try out with. We now went black, white, and yellow. We changed our font, and green became our marketing color.
Wait, I thought blue was like a common color. Like everyone, like all the psychology is like, oh, like if your presentation's blue, people will like it more. And like.
So in the healthcare, blue is soft blue is a nice color, but when you look at the eyes, people cannot, in their eyes, they cannot take in blue quite well, especially royal blue.
Interesting.
So sometimes they can't remember the color, they have to remember the message. So that is why when people want to send a strong message, they would use red and blue.
Sure. All right. So that answered your question and then some around color. Your question.
You guys work like computers and stuff? What's your thoughts on like the new Fortnite?
I don't play Fortnite. I am currently playing Red Dead 2, so I'm a little behind. Uncharted is one of my favorites, but Fortnite is not. Witcher 3 is also one of my favorites. Games. Oh, who here has played It Takes Two? Isn't that the best game? Like, it is, oh God, it's so much fun. It is so much fun. I never laughed so much in a game. There was Moving Out, like co-op games. Moving Out, and then what was the one where you make like meals? Did anyone play that one? Not Sims. That's a way throwback. That was like when I was PC gaming. If you can call Sims gaming. Can we call Sims gaming? Sure. I know.
I do Formula 1 and FIFA.
FIFA's a great one.
I do Formula 1 and FIFA, so...
But first-person shooter aren't my favorite, so... but FIFA. And then there's so much marketing and money that goes into that. So, sorry we don't have a big opinion on Fortnite, but I have opinions on other ones.
No, I have a real question now.
Yeah.
What is the future of computer science? That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a great question because recently we are seeing the we are seeing the emergence of artificial intelligence. Everyone has seen Gen AI. So there's so many layers of importance that are going to emerge in computer science. That is why right now, people who have studied computer science at college level, university level, have so many opportunities lying ahead of them, especially if you explore the area of AI quite a lot. But I always say it's not just computer science, engineering as a whole, because I have a lot of my friends who have studied physics, who have studied like mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, who still have so many opportunities lying ahead of them. So between today and the next 20 years, the opportunities are endless in the space of computer science.
Yeah, and I would add to that AI is like very buzzy, it's very trendy. How you use AI is going to be very important. So for example, there was a company that built a bunch of their back infrastructure and they used ChatGPT and it saved them a bunch of time to figure out some of the bugs, but then they lost the licensure because they had too much AI developed and not enough owned by the company. So it's going to be really interesting to see how, because it speeds up your work, right? Like AI speeds up your work. It gives you a draft at least. But the other piece that I would think about is data. So there's the computer science side of things where you're like coding something, and then there's going to be like data visualization and more of that. Data science, yeah. Which is growing a lot. And if you're interested in that, the Roo runs like a summer program. Yeah, talk to us.
What made you want to start your business?
Yeah, what?
Well, I didn't study business. I fell into it. I was an engineer, I fell into it. But I think the most important thing about studying business is that, you know, there are some people who are going to be entrepreneurs, there are some people who are going to be entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs is you work in a company, but you think like a business person within a company. So for me, I always say it's so important to have some knowledge about business because it helps channel your life. It creates opportunities for you. I've had so many friends who have a business background. It helps them understand how to use their finances. It also helps them understand how to chart new avenues for all the skills that they have learned. I have seen some people who studied engineering, they did a course in business, and they started becoming consulting engineers. So just having that background of business, having to understand how to build a business, how to manage it, helps you better understand so many facets of running a business that a lot of people without a business background struggle with. Because I struggled with in my early days. I didn't have a business background. I was just a person building products. And if I had been given an opportunity to build some foundation of business management, it would have saved me 2 or 3 years when I didn't know much about business.
We built a business because we were frustrated. We had no way to communicate with all of our families. It was like confusing to the families what messages they were getting, how they were getting it, if it was in the correct language, so that they could be part of their school community. And so literally it was just like a frustration. And then we started to build it. And then it was super validating to see other schools in other states want the same thing. And like, honestly, it blows my mind that someone else hasn't done it. And I think that's also like a neat thing about building something, is sometimes it might seem like really obvious to you, but other people haven't thought about it. And you're like, dang, all right, here we go. Yeah. And so similarly, we've built digital hall pass systems. We've built something that I think can rival Kahoot. You know, lots of different things that we just wanted it.
I haven't seen a question that side.
Back? Yeah.
That. Nneile.
Okay, cool.
But if you draw yourself now, what are you going to do?
Teach a 9th grade history. That's what I did. Yeah, it was great. I loved it. What would you be doing?
I'll probably be working as a performance analyst for a professional sports club. Maybe if I'm in the US, I'll be working in the NBA.
Yeah.
How did you decide that you decided what you wanted to
So here's the funny thing. When I finished high school, you know, sometimes when you finish high school with good grades, everyone wants you to do everything. They want you to do medicine, they want you to do actuarial science, they want you to do something. So when I got to my college in South Africa, university in South Africa, some professor literally, he saw my school results, and he literally took me to a private room and he told me, you're going to study physics and computer science. It was not my choice. He just told me, you are going to study this. And I remember my first day in class, it was a very small class. I was like the only girl in it, and I'm thinking, okay, what have I gotten myself into? But over the years, I started understanding why he picked me to do it, because I think he had learned about my background. If it was my choice, I probably wouldn't. I probably would have studied physical therapy, but you know, some days there are some decisions that are made for you, and I ended up into that rabbit hole, and I love the mistake I made.
Yeah, and I think kind of connected to the same piece of like wanting to build something that makes a difference and also solves my problem. That's why I got into it. And also there's a piece that when you're in the computer science world, you start speaking kind of another language, and thinking about that and how it informs the way you view the world is super cool. I saw that you had your hand up. Yeah.
Do you think that it's really important to like particularly support like women and people of color in computer science because there's so many like people lacking in that field?
It's so important. Yeah, it's so important. That is why there are so many programs. I don't know in Maine if you do it, but back when I was in San Francisco, we used to hold so many events to get young people in computer science. And those that are also in there would host events where we do hackathons specifically for women. We'd also do some peer guidance where we get, like some of us who are established would then be paired with a group of young people that I would have to mentor, because it's quite important in a world where there aren't a lot of women. It feels like a lot of young women may feel like this is not a space for me. So that is why I'm always open to being a mentor and holding a lot of young girls' hands within that space, because it can get very lonely.
And on the business side of things, that the same is true. And so that's actually, we're part of the Northeast RU Institute's program, and that's specifically for women, BIPOC, and LGBTQIA founders, because that group of founders are much less likely to get funding from investors, like much less likely. And so, yeah, having those programs is super important, and there's a lot of room for growth. There's a lot of ways we can get better. Yeah.
Did you guys invent SmartPass?
We did not invent Smart Pass. Ours is called Orange Passes. It's a little bit different, I hope, than Smart Pass. Is Smart Pass, wait, are you guys, is that a digital pass system that you guys use here? Oh no! Is it on like you guys to write the pass?
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems to be the trend.
How does that work? How does Orange Pass work?
I mean, I don't know much about Smart Passes. So Orange Passes, we have like literal Orange Passes. So we built a digital Orange Passes. It is still on the student to like make the pass, but then it like can auto approve. So a teacher can turn on auto approve and just let folks go to wherever they need to go. It's a pretty like simple.
How much time do you get out of that option?
Oh, it varies depending on the school, but I don't think we generally keep a limit on it. It's just like they have that information. Oh,
You have to answer for yourself.
yeah. Yeah. Copy. That's such an interesting. So intellectual property is a really, if anyone here is interested in law, that's a really interesting place to get into that. In terms of copying people, you know, when someone's cool, you gotta copy. In terms of copying people, it's really, really like frowned upon. Like you don't want to be doing that. And there's gonna be some things that are kind of like normal and you do in order to build a specific product that does a specific thing. Would you say that that's a fair assessment?
Yeah.
And then, so there's certain like protocols that you're going to have in place. There's certain like sign-on systems that you're going to have in place. And then there's some federal regulation, meaning the government tells you to do it. And then there's some that are just best practices. So in terms of ideas, you really don't want to be a business that's seen as copying people's ideas. You want to have a unique take on it. That being said, there's like Microsoft and Gmail and like Outlook, and like there's lots of things that do a similar thing, but you have to do it uniquely enough to stand out. Otherwise, you'll never get a customer.
And sometimes it's just about getting some ideas in some market and bringing them to your market. I mean, in San Francisco, there are so many ideas and products that don't exist here in Maine. You could take some of those ideas and put them in a market such as this.
That's true, yeah. We probably have time for one more question, and I know you had a follow-up question from what is your favorite color, so.
What bugs do you run into on like the nature of the program?
What bugs?
Bugs, like
Yeah.
coding issues,
What like bugs did you run into, like what programming issues? Many?
Many, so-
Yeah, pretty good.
So, thing is, in terms of our software, because we write our own code locally, I don't want to become more technical, so, and we often spin some instances to AWS. That's where a lot of the bugs lie, when you have to spin those instances to AWS when someone is using the software. So usually those are some of the bugs that we have, but then because we have built our code locally, it's easier for us to trace some of those bugs. And one of the things that we have done, we've become more of, over the years, we've become more of disciplined developers. We don't just write code for the sake of writing code. There's a lot of neatness in terms of how we write our code. So as a team, we discuss the lines of code that we need to write. We discuss what value it needs to create. So it's one of those things that alleviates some of the bugs. And sometimes some of the bugs are caused by our third-party softwares that we use. If there's a bug that they have, it affects us. So a lot of times we have a quality assurance team that often checks the bugs on a regular basis, checks any updates on our cloud infrastructure and on our local host.
Yeah, so if your sales team has, started selling your product, as soon as you start getting more and more users, those calls to your product, to those features, those are going to start to slow your system down. And that's, if you promise that you're going to do something for someone and you can't deliver, that's the worst thing for a business.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, it's part of